He writes for WorldNetDaily.com and is a founder and president of Bond, a nationally recognized nonprofit addressing the crisis for young men in the inner city. Please welcome Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson.
I think President Trump, I call him the Great White Hope. And the Great White Hope is a perfect example of what a Christian is. He's a man of courage. If you notice, he deals with the children of the lie. And the children of the lie is the liberal media, the Democratic Party, the RINO Republicans, and the Never Trumpers. And they've been trying to stop him from day one. And if he wasn't a man of God and have faith, he would not be there today. So he's a perfect example of what we all should be. And I hate to think about, if you think Trump is not a Christian, you must really know that Barack Obama.
So how did he get there? He was ordained by God.
This is the son of Satan all the way. This is the
example of the circular logic of so many Christians, right? Or so-called Christians. What they say is, if it exists, it's because God ordained it, right? Nothing happens but that God wills it.
Well, nothing
so that means
that he doesn't allow to happen.
All right, so Donald Trump is one of those people. Adolf Hitler is one of those people. Kim in North Korea is one of those people. God ordained all of these things to happen by your definition.
He didn't ordain it. He
allowed
it to happen. No, we the people don't stop it.
No, so God
I think you've confused God with an electoral college established by slave owners.
You're abandoning the gift that God gave you.
But you don't even know God. How do you know that?
How do you know that?
You said you don't believe in Him.
You're not a profoundly insulting man.
You're not a Christian, so you wouldn't know what God is.
So every Jew, every Muslim in the world doesn't know God.
I have no idea what I'm saying. You.
Gentlemen.
A government based on Christian values, that is to say the values of Christ as laid out in the Beatitudes and in Matthew 25. We don't have that, and our modern conservative evangelicals are not fighting for that. We have developed a system where we have so hoodwinked good, hard-working conservative Christians to think that they are throwing out everything Jesus talked about, voting against everything Jesus talked about in favor of abortion, which Jesus never talked about. The Bible is not against abortion, and when we talk about judges, we're talking about that. If you're against abortion rights, God bless, fight as hard as you can to make abortion legal and incarcerate the women who terminate pregnancies. But it ain't Christian. God's the least pro-life character in the first half of that book. In the book of Numbers, God gives Moses gruesome and detailed instructions on how to terminate pregnancies for pregnant, unfaithful wives. If God had a problem with killing kids, we wouldn't have Passover. For me, it all comes down to the teachings of Christ. And Jesus was and is a peaceful, radical, nonviolent revolutionary who always fought for marginalized people. Hung out with lepers, hookers, and crooks, told you whoever you hate is who you have to love. He never spoke English, was not American. He was never once anti-gay, never mentioned abortion, never technically came out against premarital sex. He never called the poor lazy, never fought for tax cuts for the wealthiest Nazarenes, never asked a leper for a copay, never said torture's okay under some conditions, and was a brown-skinned, that's in Revelation, I didn't make it up, brown-skinned, homeless, unarmed, anti-violence, community organizing, anti-slut-shaming, liberal, revolutionary. To the folks booing me, God bless, that's only if you believe what's actually in the Bible. Thank you. I did say 100% anti-death penalty, but didn't mention abortion, right? That's Christ.
But I think we can talk about the abortion question for a little bit.
I expect we will.
Yes. Donald Trump, do I believe he's actually pro-life in his heart? Absolutely not. Do I think there was a conversation where he wanted to run for president and Steve Bannon went to him and said, you need to be pro-life? He said, what's that? Just do it. Okay.
He's been against it since before his campaign, to his credit. I will always defend, I'm very fair. He was always against abortion rights.
Actually, that's not true. He was.
I'm sorry. He's been on, but since he ran as the Reform Party candidate, when he was a Democrat, he wasn't. But for
I'm
years,
just saying I don't believe it.
It's fine for people to be informed by Scripture, by religious texts, and to have their moral arguments and to present them. But I think my problem with a lot of this conversation is that we're not a religious empire. This is a country of laws where people try to get along with disparate faith or no faith. And I think what we're seeing today is a majoritarian impulse. Today we've learned that the Trump administration wants to expand the number of companies and employers that can deny women contraception. What the Founding Fathers did and what the Supreme Court has done over the years is try to help us get along.
And my only point was that there are many evangelicals who voted for Trump while they recognized him as being, well, I wouldn't say Trump's the Antichrist, but Christ is the anti-Trump. I think a lot of people voted for Trump because of the abortion issue, and my whole point is that's great, God bless. If you think women should be incarcerated for terminating pregnancies, fight for it. But Jesus wasn't against it. Well, once it's criminalized, and again, to your point, respectfully, once Roe v. Wade is overturned, there's 18 states with trigger laws. Abortion will become illegal in 18 states that day. And I don't think our brothers and sisters against abortion rights are going to stop there until it's illegal in all 50 states. And that's okay. I just think we need to talk about and fight for what you want to fight for. I honestly, I'm not pro-abortion. I've never been anybody pro. I'm pro not letting men make that choice for a woman. But I think what's the end game? Because you will never end abortion. You will only end the safe, regulated kinds. You'll create thousands of new Dr. Kermit Gosnells, and if it's criminalized, you're talking about putting women and or doctors in jail. We talk a lot about the cause, but not the end game of criminalizing women's reproductive rights.
Let me say, everything that John said about God in the Bible and pro-life and all that was all wrong.
Do you care to specifically address it, Jesse?
Like 100% wrong, but I do want to say,
Any specifics, Jesse?
Yes, it's true that, and we are a Judeo-Christian nation. Our country was built on those according to the scriptures. It has changed a lot now because we've allowed the children of the light to take over, but we are a Judeo-Christian nation. I do want to say, though, it is partly due to the judges that the Christians went out and voted, but let's not forget about Barack Obama. Barack Obama, the father Messiah, along with Big Mama Michelle, was in the White House for 8 long years, and they nearly took this country to hell in a handbasket. It was shocking to the Christians what the father Messiah, Obama, was doing to this country. He was pushing everything that was wrong. He was going against Christians. He seemed to have supported Islam over Christianity.
What teaches of Christ?
And so as far as the Christians,
Did Hatch come in the room for a second?
the Christians were shocked with that. And a lot of them regretted voting for Barack Obama. They voted for him because he was black, but they had no idea how wicked he was. And so it was a wake-up call. It was not just the judges. It was a wake-up call because Obama hated this country, he hated the Christians, and he tried to destroy this country. So that's
You can't disagree with someone without them being wicked.
yeah, that's right.
Okay,
So I think there were a number of reasons why we saw evangelicals be willing to sort of support President Trump as a vessel for policies and outcomes that they support. The issue that I have is I understand if you're a committed Christian, I understand why you would be willing to justify holding your nose and voting for Trump in terms of his character.
We didn't have to hold our nose. I don't know what you mean.
But I'm saying
no one
some
held
did.
their nose to vote for Trump.
This
It's a very white hope.
Quite a few.
but let's let Guy finish.
No one, the Christians did not hold their nose to vote for the president.
A number of them did. But I think that we make a mistake when we try to pretend that the president is something that he isn't. Like he is, I think he's a man of compromised character, to put it.
Grab him by the pussy. How about that?
That's a good question.
Okay, Guy has a microphone right now. Go ahead, Guy.
Hang on. Look, I would. What's the evidence? I would give just one of the latest pieces of evidence is that he tweeted that the porn star that he had an affair with was a horse face.
Right.
I
She is a
A Christian wouldn't have had an affair with her.
Right. But Guy was in the middle of making a point.
So I think
But
when
he was right about that.
was he right to have sex with a porn star while he was married with a kid?
It wasn't right for him to do it while he was married, but that's not who he is now.
Has he asked forgiveness from anyone?
Amanda mentioned that the president said that he never asked God for forgiveness.
Yes,
Forgiveness. Well, what you don't realize, real men and women of God don't have to keep asking God for forgiveness.
Yes, we do.
Because once you're truly born again of God, you no longer sin. And the Christians who are asking God for forgiveness are not true Christians. They're still sinners. And so that's why you're asking for forgiveness.
Jesse, thank you. I
You
think
cannot sin and be a son or a daughter of God. That's these false
You
Christians
never
are
sin?
putting that impression out.
You never
there.
sin?
And so they believe it. God as his son of God. No.
Jesus didn't come for the righteous, he came for the sinners. He said so
But you don't
himself.
know why Jesus came.
But that's all of us.
let's pause on this right now.
The Bible, respectfully, is not against birth control. Christ commands us in Matthew 25 to care for the poor, and contraception is a great way to do that. When you actually look at the rules on contraception with Hobby Lobby outsourced their manufacturing to China, where abortion is mandatory. And Hobby Lobby doesn't believe that IUDs or any kind of birth control should be part of a health care compensation package.
That's not true. They offered 16 types of contraception.
Right, but not IUDs.
Well, you said that's.
I'm so sorry, you're correct. You are right, and I am wrong. But there were specific kinds, you are so right, and I apologize. They were against certain kinds of contraception being included as part of a healthcare compensation package. Men were deciding that women's healthcare wasn't medicine, which it is, because the Bible's against contraception, which it's not. And I'd remind you, in Israel, abortions are free. I don't hear a lot of evangelicals demanding we cease funding to Israel.
From the abortion issue, because there's many views on that, and the ones that you mentioned, John, many people consider to be abortifacient. It's after conception.
I understand it's still not against the teachings of Christ. And with respect to the sisters, my mother's an ex-nun, I get it. But that's about keeping your tribe's numbers up, not about teachings of the Bible.
I do want to add, God does
doing
not
this in
support abortion at all. God gives his life and God takes his life. No other person has a right to take the life of an unborn child. And so men should be involved in this issue, because if men were involved in it, you would have less abortion.
Jesse, you should read the Old Testament. God calls for babies to be ripped out of their mother's wombs in battles, and also...
yeah, that's not it, John.
But I want to respond to Guy's question when you're done,
I'm
Jesse.
sorry.
One other quick about abortion, 70% of Planned Parenthood abortion mills are located in the inner city. Every day between 1,200 to 1,500 black babies are aborted, every day. This is about money. It's not about the woman's health. It's not about all this crap that the liberals have been telling us. It's about money and power. And instead of anything else, the women do not have a right to kill a child in the womb. There's no such thing as a woman.
Jesse, when I did your show, you let me talk. Jesse.
Abomination to God.
Okay, Jesse, I'm gonna get back. Okay, so again,
let's
if you
let
want
John finish, please. Jesse.
Right.
You're absolutely
See what
So again,
religion does.
no, that's not. No, I'm so sorry, man. That's not true. No, I'm sorry, but anyone you want to show me where religion is responsible for oppression and cruelty, I'll show you 25 instances that don't make the headlines of people of faith acting in love and empathy. And I'm so sorry, but I gotta say one thing to my atheist brothers and sisters. When you say, oh, religion's responsible for all this misogyny and homophobia, no, it's the fundamentalist wing of every religion. The overwhelming majority of moderate and liberal Christians Muslims, and Jews are getting along fine today. It is the fundamentalist wings of all the religions making life equal for the rest of us. And if I may, when I say fundamentalist, listen here. 5 things they have in common. I'll go through it really fast. If you're a fundamentalist, Hindu, Muslim, Jew, Christian, you believe a few things. Being gay is bad. The more conservative you are in your religion, the more women are second-class citizens. The more conservative you are in religion, the more sex is bad. The more conservative you are in your religion, I'm going to finish, man. The more conservative you are in your religion, the more other religions are inferior. And number 5, the more conservative you are in your religion, the more you think violence is okay if your side does it. When you make to believe that he speaks for God, and when you believe that you are the absolute vessel for God's word, then you think anyone opposing you is representing Satan.
Right.
Can I just say,
Jesse, I'm so sorry. I would actually ask, because we have a very large panel.
John to speak.
I'd actually like to let Amanda speak now, because she hasn't spoken very much.
You know, I do think, John, we're being a little nitpicky when we say the Little Sisters of the Poor aren't picking enough contraceptives for people to choose from.
I'm sorry, I just said it's not against the Bible, it's not against the teachings of Christ.
Disagree.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
I disagree.
you know, I like to live in America where certain communities and organizations can decide the rules that they want to play from. And you know, if you want to pick 12 kinds of birth control for your employees to choose from, that's fine. 6, 10, whatever. I don't have a big issue with that. But in terms of talking about why so many evangelicals got on board with Trump, it's not just abortion, a Little Sister of the Poor, although that was very important. There were other issues that Trump, I mean, quite frankly, pandered to the community quite well. And the second most important was free speech for churches. There was a lot of discussion in these communities in Iowa and the Midwest about the Johnson Amendment, which essentially says for churches that you will lose your tax-exempt status once you start engaging in politics. And there's a lot of people like me who go to their churches looking for some kind of moral leadership. And there's no reason in my mind why a pastor should not be able to take that moral leadership role in their community. And as much as politics gets into our lives, everyday lives, we should be able to go to our pastors and talk about politics of the day. Not saying everybody should be teaching from the pulpit, but for them to have a gag order on them is unconscionable.
But do I give you a tax deduction for it? Are you allowed to promote partisan politics but not pay the taxes I pay?
Yeah, but I think there's a big difference between talking about issues that impact your communities and saying, okay, go out and vote for X, Y, Z.
Right, there's
so many people afraid to even get into those debates, and Donald Trump knew that these church communities were looking, they were afraid. They were very afraid because they operate on pennies every month.
Have you ever seen the appeals for jets made by evangelists?
Absolutely.
They don't operate on pennies. What they enjoy
But
is
there's,
special
for
status.
every big mega church in America, there's 10,000 more tiny little churches.
And those
in
are the
small
ones
towns.
that need protection, but I think also it's a mistake to think that evangelicals weren't organizing on a partisan basis, running up to the election.
Which is why Trump knew that was a very rich community for
and
him
it was
to talk to.
It
Yes,
was
yes.
specific. Go out and vote for Donald Trump.
Yes.
So do I want to give my tax dollars to that activity? I don't.
I mean, we
I
can
don't
talk
wanna
about whether it's
see
tax
them do it
exemptions
for a
and using
Democrat
dollars,
either.
which it really isn't.
But the hypocrisy of the Democrats and the liberals that whenever the election came around, the Democrats, politicians would go into the black churches and other churches, and they would campaign from the pulpit.
Well, that's
no
wrong,
one had a problem with that.
That's
I never
absolutely-
We
will.
can't police churches.
I never will forget Hillary Clinton at a black church saying, I don't fear no wage terror. And the black people, yeah. And nobody had a problem with that, but when it's the white evangelicals who are doing this, conservative white evangelical, all of a sudden, it's a big problem.
I had a
but
problem
for people of color, it was no problem. You know, another top reason that the Christians voted for the Great White Hope is the illegal alien situation. When Barack Obama was in the White House, he brought in every illegal alien that he could get here in order to get the vote. The president made a promise that he was going to put up a big, beautiful wall around the borders, and that he was going to put the country first. And thus far, the wall is going up and it's not there, but this president is doing more to protect our borders than any other president that I'm aware of has ever done.
I think John Bolton and John Kelly got in a fight in the White House this week because border crossings were up.
Well, it's going down, but it's still bad. We need some help. We have some illegals coming down from Honduras or somewhere. Did you hear about that?
If I may, those people are not illegals, and a human is
John,
illegal.
hold on. I did not. Hold on, John.
Okay,
I'm not allowed to
you're done,
interrupt
Jess.
you.
Go ahead.
Tell John to hold on, please. Tell
Respectfully,
John to
I
hold
thought
on,
you were
please. The illegal alien is a serious situation in our country. There are other issues that the president hasn't finished. He has kept his word so far, and a lot of folks are really happy about that. And maybe the Democrats had a chance of getting in there before Judge Kavanaugh's situation happened. And once the American people saw that, they had to change their mind because they saw how far left and socialist the liberals have become, and mean and nasty. Even the Wicked Witch of the West, Maxine Waters, she called for Trump supporters. Hold on, sir. Hold on. She called for Trump supporters to be harassed. Even crooked line Hillary said we don't need any civility now. The Democrats need to go wild, and as a result, the Trump supporters are under attack.
Are you for real right now?
Encouraging more voters to get out. More
Okay, yes, yeah, we have 2 minutes now before we open up the floor, so no worries, John, thank you.
Thank
No,
you.
you're fine.
Christians don't call other humans illegals. That's an offensive,
Yes, they do.
otherizing term.
Christian tell the truth.
Donald Trump had to pay $25 million in education fraud for ripping off Americans with a scam online university. I'd like to hear him called an illegal for his crimes. I would say that under Barack Obama, I want to correct some false witness bearing. Record deportations, record number of National Guard troops at the border. Illegal immigration went to a net zero increase. It is not a problem. If we were serious about stopping illegal immigration, we would start incarcerating the people who hire them. We don't do it because neither side is serious about ending it. It's a vote and fundraising effort. And if you really think that illegal immigration, or illegals as you call it, is such a sinister thing, I remind you that after Christ's birth, his family hid from the government in Egypt, in Alexandria. Our Lord and Savior spent his teen years as an undocumented teen.
All right, guys, that's a joke.
Okay, in our last minutes here, though, I'd like to give Amanda and Michael an opportunity if there's anything
By the
you'd
way,
like
I
to
like
add.
John. I had him on my show.
All right, so Amanda and Michael, do you
I just think we should all be really honest about why Christians got on board with Trump. It's not because he's a Christian. It's not because he embodies in his life's work Christian-like values. It's because they believed they could get what they wanted out of his administration. Whether it's a pro-life judge, whether it's conscious protections, whether it's repealed the Johnson Amendment. That's why they got on board with him. And going into 2020, I think Democrats who want to take on Trump should think really hard. If evangelical Christians were so desperate to be heard in America that they supported Donald Trump, a philanderer, a cheat,
That's not who Donald Trump is.
how bad is the Democratic alternative? And so Democrats, if you want to appeal to Christian voters, it may not take a lot, but you're going to have to hear people who are worried about the cause of life, who are worried about religious liberty, and you have to be willing to extend a hand.
All right, Michael, you have the last comment on this.
I think what Amanda is saying is correct, that there is a desire on all people's part to talk together, to try and reason together, to use facts. You know, for example, immigration crossings at the southern border have been going down for a long time. They started going down under Barack Obama. If you're
Not true.
Well, I didn't interrupt you.
I can't help it. You're lying.
Michael, please continue, and then we'll open it up for microphones.
Thank you. I hope you can be restrained.
It's difficult.
I know, I recognize that because
Plus,
facts,
Trump is a man.
facts are
Jesse,
troublesome.
I'm so sorry, we only have 1 more minute for Michael, this is his opportunity.
I've spent a lot of time with Donald Trump. I wrote a biography of him. He was the single most profane man I ever met. Everything that came out of his mouth was a lie. I had to go back to him time and time again and say, well, wait a minute, this Trump University thing, did you actually design the curriculum? Well, no, I didn't. Did you actually show up at the graduations with the people as you promised you did? Well, no, I didn't. Is $32,000 from a bus driver a fair exchange for them standing at the end of a seminar to have their picture taken next to a photo of you fair? Well, maybe not really. I didn't know that was going on. Well, then why don't you pay those people back? They're going to have to make me. This is who Donald Trump is. So you got what you bargained for. And the last comment I would make is that people complain about activist judges when they're on the other side. So now we're going to have activist judges on the far right. We will all live with it. We'll all accommodate to it. We'll all live in these separate spheres. And I think that there's a big price that we're all paying as our society is being diminished, as our ability to talk to each other is being squashed, and as mere facts no longer matter.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And that was very much in line with what I would agree with John, that Jesus is probably the least religious person and would very much approve of a respectful conversation. So thank you so much, panelists. We are going to... You're welcome. We are going to open this up now to questions. I'm not sure where the microphone is, but if there's something that you would like to ask, and I would ask for respect for everyone that might want to ask.
Founder and Director of Christian Democrats of America, and I was just hoping you'd clarify something for me. So I understand about the least of these, and in Matthew 25, John was talking about. I understand that Jesus said, "Let the children come to me," and he said, if you harm one of these little ones, it's better for you to have a millstone hung around your neck and drown into the sea. My question is, where does he talk about that it's okay to put children in cages and to separate them from their families while they're screaming and traumatize them? Where does Jesus say that? Can you give me the scripture? Thank you.
You should ask Obama that. He started that program. Barack Obama started that program. It's not President Trump.
That wasn't the question.
It was already in operation before he became.
That's not the question.
So that's something
He overturned everything else.
And may I say at some point, but the Trump administration did implement the zero tolerance policy, but it happened on a much more massive scale.
And I would say in defense of many evangelical leaders, the situation at the border is something that they have spoken out against as well. So not every policy of President Trump is something that evangelicals vote for, and I think we've had imperfect options.
And I also want to
I'm sorry.
add, there's no such thing as a democratic Christian.
I would also just say, I think that you can call out that policy as ill-conceived and terribly shoddy in its implementation, and also be deeply morally offended by the idea of separating families, while also being concerned about these so-called catch-and-release policies that have fueled this ongoing problem. I think that there's a lot of things that need to be fixed systemically in our immigration system. I think the way that the Trump administration attempted to go about it was very flawed, to the point that rarely do they back off of something, and they backed off of that.
But let me just
Thank
say,
you. Actually, I'm sorry.
one quick thing.
Okay, because we're going to try to limit one answer per question.
Go ahead, please.
What you're saying is not true, because Barack Obama started that program, and the liberal media did not focus on that program.
Because Obama didn't separate children from their parents, they were putting cells together. Yes,
I'd like to move on. I'm sorry, Jesse.
They try to make us think bad.
Okay, we have a long line, so let's, next question.
Thank you.
This is for Jesse. Earlier you said that one of the reasons why Christians or evangelicals voted for Trump is because of his immigration policy. Whether it refers to legal or illegal immigration, how does Trump's immigration policy embody Christian values, and why didn't Barack Obama's?
Christians would put their family before they would anyone else. And the president is putting the country first. And that's something that we did not have under Barack Obama. Obama did not put America first. As a matter of fact, he seemed to have put the illegal aliens before he put the folks of this country. And so that's not Christian-like to put someone else before your own family.
All right.
Technically, it is according to the New Testament.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, question over here.
Yes. I have a question about abortion. So I'm pro-life, but I just have a question. I guess in this day and age, when we have contraception, widely available, not that expensive, if a a woman gets pregnant, she's not stigmatized. Not in this day and age. I mean, a single woman can be pregnant, they'll give you a baby shower, they really don't care. So why are we still having abortions? I'm just asking because it doesn't seem, it's biology. You know what happens, you have sex, you know what happens.
You know, I'm with you because I think there's so much science on our side, though. There's so many options available to find out when you're pregnant. You know, Plan B,
Try a
abortion.
14-year-old and her
birth control
uncle.
is widely available. That's why I'm very comfortable. Like, maybe there's always going to be abortion in this country, but let's talk about it at 20 weeks. Can we have a conversation about that and why abortion is available on demand for reasons of convenience? I'm ready to have that conversation. I think we all should be very comfortable about that.
I think abortion's a powerful fundraiser and vote getter, but we don't have an abortion problem. We have an unwanted pregnancy problem with an abortion symptom. And if all the brothers and sisters on the left and the right could get together and say, how do we stop these unwanted pregnancies, you'd see this problem gradually go away. But again,
I also feel on that point that the wantedness of a human being should not determine the humanity of that human being.
We have time for one last question. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, mine is still on the abortion issue. Sorry about that, and it's directly for Amanda. Okay, when you talk about abortion after 20 weeks, why don't you talk about the numbers? The percentage of abortions that take place in this country after 20 weeks is minuscule, and the vast majority of those abortions are for serious health reasons mostly on the part of the child. The numbers are tiny. That's part of the discussion, and people who believe like you do always omit the statistics. Stop omitting the statistics.
Is about abortions of convenience. Because, I'll tell you, I am about to be 36 years old, and all the women's magazines I read growing up sent the message to young women that abortion is something you can do without, it's like getting a pedicure. And I have a huge problem with that, because I know women who've been through it, who've lost children, who are psychologically damaged. And I want us to be realistic about what happens when a woman goes in to have that procedure, and there are deep, lasting moral consequences. And that's what I just want our country to recognize.
So if there are very few elective abortions after a certain point of pregnancy, that's fine. We should have no problem banning them then.
Right.
It's like that's an easy fix. If it doesn't really happen very much, setting aside very serious health to the mother and to the baby risks, right? That's a lot of these laws include those exceptions.
I know no Republicans that want abortion without exceptions for medical reasons. I really don't.
There's one right there. Right here.
Really?
I do want to remind you that.
People in office. I've worked for very evangelical senators.
I want to remind you that when Barack Obama was senator of Illinois.
Let's look back. Let's look backwards.
When Obama was senator of Illinois, he voted for a bill that says that if a baby is alive during a botched abortion, let the baby die on the medical table.
Yeah.
Do not get killed. That's how serious this abortion is. It's not about that. And these people want these abortions because, I got to do my career, so why not kill the baby, right?
Folks, please look up the book of Numbers. Please look at the book of Numbers and see where God comes down on this. In Exodus, God makes it very clear a fetus does not have the same value. And just remember, Christ didn't talk about it. We haven't talked much about Christ's teachings and the GOP and what they fight for. And the majority of Americans support abortion rights, and the majority of Americans voted against it.
And actually, I do get to respond to that real quickly. As Guy said, the majority of Americans are actually for laws that are more similar to Europe, which pull this way back. So thank you very much.